if you're watching. I'm trying to set this up. Hi, if you're watching. I'm trying to set this up. Hi, if you're watching. I'm trying to set this up. Hi, if you're watching. I'm trying to set this up. Hi, if you're watching. Is it on a loop? I'm trying to set this up. Hi, if you're watching.
Whoa! Damn it. Whoa! Damn it.
Oh, that's better. Okay. I have to turn the sound down here. And I think I figured it out. The delay is. Well. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. This is new. I have a setup here with webcam. So I have webcam over the desk, which is right here. And the camera is on my face as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because I think it's working. This is great. Hi. My name is Liz. You might be at the Grown Up Game Night, which is at the Puppet Co. Playhouse in Glen Echo, Maryland. Or you could just be watching this because you're curious about this. And what it is I'm going to be, while game night is going on, I'm making a second set of puppets for Peter and the Wolf. And this is the puppet that I'm going to kind of be working on, making a reproduction of. so that we have 2 sets of puppets for that show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk my way through what I'm doing while I'm doing it, and go from there. So yeah, here we go. And it's just gentle. I listen to music while I do this, and I will try to answer any questions that pop up, if any questions pop up that I see. And hi, Tony. Glad that it's kind of working. Like I said, I think I'm on a little bit of a delay here, but this is my first time trying to do a setup with both of them. So I had to turn the sound off because that was really interesting. All right, so I'm going to talk to you, but I'm also going to focus on what I'm doing here. So I'm going to put my headphones on, and you're going to get to see my chaotic workroom where there's a bunch of stuff going on all at once. And Tony's going to help me with questions, which is great. I'm very thankful for that. Tony is at the Playhouse running Grown Up Game Night, and it's fun. It's cool. We have basically a puppet-themed game night at the Playhouse where people can come, hang out, learn more about what we do, watch a little bit of the show. And so if you're in the Maryland, Virginia, or DC area and you want to participate, just check out the website at www.thepuppetco.org. All right, so Tony is going to let me know if we have any questions, and Liz is gonna go ahead and try to get started here. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is what I have here is I have some patterns. Now these are patterns that I made based off of the picture that I showed a little bit earlier. I took that puppet apart because I had to do some pretty extensive repair work on it, and then what I did was I made simple little patterns of the different pieces while I was taking apart the other puppet. So here are all my pieces, and I can show you kind of a completed one, completed to a degree. So this is the duck, or the cat, the bird from Peter and the Wolf, and I did the same thing where I made, maybe it's better in this camera, there's the head of the little bird and the body and the wings. And what I'll do with all of this is coat it in a paper mache and strengthen it up. The first thing I'm going to do for this pattern is I'm going to take the pattern and I'm going to put it on a harder paper so that it has a little bit more life to it. Usually I use cardstock, but it appears that I might be out of cardstock at the moment. So I'm just going to use a nice thick kind of a photo paper, which is the same thing. And to do this, I'm just gonna, fans running, don't worry about me. Put those right on there, just like that. Just to give them longer life, a little bit more stability. And the like. So if you have any questions at any time, feel free to ask. I will try to answer them the best I can. I'm gonna let that dry. Put it off to the side there. You might hear dogs barking in the background because I have 2 dogs that like to complain the later it gets at night. Now this piece is kind of big. I'm not sure if it's going to fit on one whole piece of paper. It'll be close. Yeah, it'll work. And the reason you want to do this is longevity for your patterns. It's, you know, it's a good idea to create patterns that you can use over and over and over and over again. It is very frustrating to not do this and then realize you should have done it, and then 5 years later go, now what happened to that pattern? Okay, so this is the first one that I did, and what I'm going to do now for my own sanity is trace them with a Sharpie. Like I said, these were made by taking a puppet apart and tracing the puppet parts. So there's a little bit of wiggle room because they're not going to be 100% exactly like the pattern or the puppet that I traced it off of, but they'll be close. There's a foot, duck foot. And I know this part seems incredibly tedious. It is, but it is also incredibly necessary. And I have 2 duck wings, which they're not quite the same because the duck wings were not quite the same. And what I'm going to do is take them both and make a universal pattern that kind of works for both of them. I'll explain that in a minute. And I think somebody typed something, but I can't tell for sure. Nope. Okay, we're still good. And the same thing with the feet. They're not exactly the same. So what I will do is kind of make a, 1 foot pattern based on the 2 feet patterns. But it is so much easier when you have it on a thicker piece of paper. It also doesn't mean you have to throw the other ones away. It just means you have something that's more uniform. Okay. this duck is wearing a hat. So you can see what the hat is built into the pattern. Like I said, in the background, you might hear some dog noises and also some Joel noises. This is the time of night where the dogs decide to spread chaos instead of joy. And there we go. So we have a real basic pattern now for the puppet. I have a body. I have my two pieces to make the head. I have the wings. And what I might end up doing here is I kind of like this wing more than this wing. So I might just flip that pattern and trace it on both sides. Same thing with the feet. I might do that as well. So the next thing is I need to grab a saw. Alright, so what I have here is a coping saw. I love these. These are great. They are good for cutting out little pieces of foam. Kind of keeps the mess reduced. And there are foam cutters, things like that, but they give off a lot of fumes. And I don't know if you noticed, but it's cold outside and I don't want to go sit outside and cut stuff. So I'm going to use a coping saw instead. The other thing that I have here, which if you are a child, please ask parents' permission. And parents, you should always monitor your children if they're using anything sharp to make anything. But these are straight razor blades. And you can create a handle to use these. You can use them by holding them. You just very careful because they are obviously incredibly sharp. So the next thing I'm going to do is which piece should I work on first? Should I do wings, head, body? It is, I will leave that up to the folks who are watching this, and Tony can let me know via chat. I can go ahead and prep what I'm going to use, which is a piece of green foam. There's a lot of different ways to make puppets. You can use wood. You can use EVA foam. You can use, like, literally the definition of a puppet can be anything animated, right? But for these puppets, I want to keep them light and I want to give them a hard shell. So I'm going to use construction foam, and I'm going to use construction foam, and I'm going to go ahead and put a layer, two or three layers of paper mache over the top of this. So once Tony lets me know which piece we're going to start with, then I can prep that piece. So that's exactly what these are. These are just EVA foam or not EVA foam, the closed cell green foam that's been carved. And I used razor blades on this, and I get to a point where basically you're just using drywall, either the drywall sanding stuff, which is like a meshy screen, or sandpaper. You can also, you can use a Dremel tool on this. It works. You just have to take your time, and you have to be very careful. That's it. Oh, boy, I was on the wrong channel. Okay. Dre says to cut out the wings. Okay, Dre, you got it. And Tony said, who is your favorite puppet in the show, and why is it Natasha? So the show is very sweet. It was written by Christopher's father, and the show itself is probably about 70 years old. And of course, that's when the dogs decide that they want to have an opinion. Okay. I recently interviewed Christopher Piper, and got a little bit more information from him about the show, which I'm going to put on a little video. I'm trying to put together some interviews that I've done with him. And Christopher learned the show when he was in high school from his father. And when he started the Puppet Co. with Alan, he brought Peter and the Wolf as the show he had, and Alan brought Pinocchio, and then they created the Magic Mirror together. So Christopher made these puppets, and they're older than I am. Not by much, but a little bit. And the show is very charming and very sweet. So, the puppets are very cute as well. I'm a big fan of Natasha, because the way that Maggie portrays her is, to me, incredibly funny and very sweet at the same time. Natasha is the duck. But I am a big... That would be my dogs. Hey, honey?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. Hold
I
on.
am a big fan of that puppet, which is the wolf puppet. The wolf puppet from the show, which is called Old Lupus. I think he's gorgeous. I think he's beautiful. But the puppets in general are just Grandfather, the whole thing. They're just really beautiful little puppets, and I know it's hard to see them on here. You can go to our website, get some more pictures of them, but they are just the sweetest puppets. So I'm excited to make another set, but I'm trying my hardest to make another set as close to Christopher's original designs as I possibly can. So Dre asked to do the wings. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this little wing. Would you be open to doing puppet ASMR? I mean, if people enjoy the sound of my voice while I'm just doing what I normally do, and I try not to swear as much as I do when I'm by myself, sure. Okay, so first we're gonna get out this big old chunk of kind of dirty. It's outside for a little while. It works. We're gonna do this big chunk of green foam. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use, I like this wing. I like the shape of it better than the other one. And I'm going to use this to do both wings. So first I'm going to go ahead and trace my pattern. And that's one side. And then I'm going to do... fidgety about this side, and it won't really matter until I start to carve the shape of the wing, because the wings do have a little bit of a curve to them. That's when it'll start to matter more. Okay, and now I'm gonna just knock my camera over. Good to go. Okay, Get my coping saw. And start to cut some of this out. Now, there's a type of saw, it's like a, I don't know what the actual name of it is, but it's a Japanese style saw. It's really great because the only trouble with a coping saw is you can only go so far, right? So get to this point and then you kind of have to finagle it a little bit. And I will probably just use a sharp object to cut the rest of the way through this because it's not terribly bad. Always cut away from yourself, not towards yourself. Don't pull a whiz. Come on. That is one wing. That is 2 wings. Alright, so we have the wings set out here. Now I'm going to use the coping saw to trim up the edges a little bit. It's a rough cut. It's not a perfect cut, but it works. Now, the tools that they have for carving do a really good job of this. And I'm going to grab a trash thing. Plugged in. The foam cutting tools that get hot do a really great job of giving you a great shape and nice curves and everything else. But again, I can't be outside tonight. I like to be outside. It's the best ventilation that you can have for it. But if it were summertime, if it were a little bit warmer, I would sit outside and I would do it with those because it just goes by faster. So, that is one wing roughed out, and then I will rough out the other wing. Appears my saw could use a new saw blade. So I'm going to go ahead and make this wing. That wing is going to be on the left side of the bird. I'll put a little L, and then that'll be right. So that I know what side to carve curves on, which I can better explain by using this. So this is one of the wings from the little bluebird, and you'll see that the outside has this nice, it kind of has a nice shape to it. But the inside of the wing has a little bit of a divot, for lack of a better term. And we're going to do the same thing on these. Now these little wings, the little wings on the little bird pointed down, but the wings on the duck go up at the tip. So, alright, this is the part that I'm gonna continue to watch to see if there are any other questions coming in. But, okay, I have razor blade, and I'm using it by just holding on to this edge. If you do this, be very careful. Just not a toy. What I'm going to do is just gently start to carve down starting to shape up already. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to take this and plane it down so that the wing not only curves up, but it curves down. So whenever you're carving anything, you have to think about it in 3 dimensions. And that's, I think, one of the hardest parts, is that you might look at something that you're carving or you're sculpting and think, okay, I got that part. I've got the front of the face, but if you turn it and look at it from the side, you know, you have to remember, for reference, if you're carving the front of the face, you know, if you get all of this stuff in, but then when you turn it to the side, it flattens out. There's nothing to it. You have to kind of reevaluate that and go back to it. You want it to have depth from every angle that it can possibly have. Character depth. You don't want it to flatten out on stage or on film. You know, it's a little different with different styles of puppets, but again, this is kind of rough cutting it out, shaping it. I've seen people make really cool tools for these kind of razor blades. Put a dowel here, kind of make it like a toothbrush situation. Now, every now and then, you go back with your marker, right? So I know that I want this wing. It's my wing that's on the right side of the body if I'm standing to it. And I know that I want to take some of this off. So I'm going to kind of make myself a little bit of a guidepost there. So where do I want the wing to be the thickest, and where do I want it to kind of thin out? And the great thing is, you could keep marking on this until the cows come home. You just keep cutting it off. And then if any marker remains after you're done with it, you're going to go over the top of it with something anyway, so it's not going to bleed through your paint. Okay, so I've shaped it up a little bit. I'm going to grab my Dremel tool. I will be right back. Alright, I came back. I'm going to put on my respirator, so you're not going to hear me for a few minutes. As you can see, the Dremel is mighty but messy. Always, whenever you're doing anything with sanding or anything, always wear some kind of face protection. You don't want this crap getting into your lungs. I said crap. Did it twice. Oh well. You don't want to get into your lungs. You want to wear something over your face, dust mask, something, to prevent it from getting everywhere. Because as you can see, it gets everywhere. Gonna take a minute, and I'm gonna vacuum a little bit, maybe. I don't know. You can see I've roughed out. You know, I have a lot left to do on it, but this is the rough start, right? We're trying to get that shape. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my rasp and do a little bit that way. And also maybe grab my Vroom Vroom. This is going to get loud for just a second. No, I'll do it later. So one thing I would also do is you can use a rasp, something like that, to better get that out, to better shape that, easier shape that. I love my Dremel, but I also buy special bits. I got this bit, I think, on Amazon. It takes a lot off all at once, so I don't have to sit there and do little chunks at a time. And I started to do the concave part on the inside of the wing. But yeah, this is still pretty chunky, and it needs to be taken down quite a bit still. So we will carve back a little bit more. I want to get the wing too, or the tip of the wing kind of shaped on there a little bit more too. So I'm gonna get my marker back out, sketch out. You know, I want that sharp point. I just have to take my time to get there. And sorry for the puppies in the background. They are boogers. So I have a duck, a wolf, and a cat and 2 people to figure out. And the beautiful thing is I'm using, Christopher's puppets as kind of a guidepost, which means half the battle is already won. There's already a design, which, if I don't have to design the puppets as well, then it takes a little bit of time off of what I'm ultimately trying to do. It is intimidating to try to imitate somebody else's style and also make it your own at the same time. But it's a nice fun challenge. I think the thing that I love the most is not altering the original artwork more than I have to. Sometimes if a puppet is really falling apart, you kind of have to go in and make some repairs. And sometimes materials are out of date, so you have to do what's best for now. And, it's an evolving process, which is what is interesting about it, too. And I'm totally rambling because I'm talking to myself here. And that is the dogs arguing over cookies. Every now and then, you should try to tidy up a little bit. It helps everything keep going forward in a good direction. So you can see I've got a little bit of that curve going here. I want to get more of a curve that way. It's just going to take time. So we've been doing this almost an hour, and this is as far as we've gotten. And that's kind of the nature of it, is you kind of have to take your time. You have to, you know, you want to continually check in and go, okay, what's next? What am I looking at? Nice chunk off there. Get more of that curve. Yeah, so you can see the shape of it coming along nicely. One thing I also learned that you can do with these razors is if you take them, and I might not be able to do it with my fingers, but you can bend them. So you can see now it's got a little bit of a curve in it, so that I can hold it over here, but I can still slice. If I can't get it straight on, then I can take that curve and get in there while still holding the, you know, it changes the angle a little bit, but it allows you a little bit more of a grasp on it. Now once all the big pieces are off, you go in and you're gonna rasp it down, or you're gonna file it down anyway. So it's not, I'm not worried about pieces not quite being smooth yet. I will get to that point once I get the shape a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. You can see it's you can kind of see that it's getting there. Again, there are fancy foam tools that make this go faster, but I mean, this is a nice way to do it if you don't have access to those tools. You can these kind of blades are not particularly expensive. This foam, you can get a big 8-foot sheet of it. It's not particularly expensive. So, you know, you can try it. One thing I struggle with puppetry all the time is the waste. You know, it's nothing that I've found yet is particularly eco-friendly when doing this. Not even wood. Or 100% safe to use. But you try your best, and you keep learning, and you keep finding new systems and ways of doing, so you don't have as much waste. And it's an ongoing battle. I'm getting the philosophy because I'm getting tired. Mm-hmm. a gremlin. Okay, so it still needs a little bit more taken off here, and I would go in and I'm gonna carve that out with the Dremel, but I'm not gonna do that again tonight. I just wanted to show it once. So, you know, that's a basic wing, so that would sit against the body. And this part I want to keep relatively flat, because this is going to be the part that attaches the wing to the body. So that is fundamentally, you know, we got from this to something that's a little more shapely like this. And like I said, it's got a little ways left to go before we're over into, you know, this territory where we can definitely put some mache over the top of it and something hard to harden it up a little bit so it doesn't break. These are going to be marionettes. I don't know if I said that, but the reason I want to keep them relatively light is this show can be done with one person or two people, and if it's one person, then you don't want to overstrain yourself with big heavy wooden puppets. Even in the show as it currently stands, the little bluebird I think is made out of pine, and she's heavy. She's a big heavy puppet. If there are any other questions, let me know. I am gonna sign off in a few minutes. This is just kind of what I'm working on this week. We are going to be taking this show on the road relatively soon, and it also is currently playing at the Playhouse. So, yeah. You can see it there. You can find out where we're touring. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining me. And I will try to do this again. I don't know when. But I will try to have a setup again, and maybe when I'm working on one of the other puppets this week, I can try some kind of live stream thing. But thanks so much, and if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to us. If you have any suggestions, you can reach out to us. I hope game night is going well over at the Playhouse, and that everybody's enjoying themselves, and I will see you on the next game night. I think at that point we're going to be working on either Halloween or Magic Mirror puppets, and some of that is restoration of older puppets, making hands, because hands get cannibalized at our theater all the time. It's just a fact of life. Fact of puppetry, fact of life. And so thanks so much for joining me, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So have a good night.